welcome to another episode, Shitheads. I'm with a very special guest. We're with the co-founder, or one of the co-founders of My Curio Cards, aka Travis for Mayor. We have Travis in the house.
Hi, everybody.
And
The
Travis,
shitheads, I like that.
you like the Shitheads? Yes, I'm
Yeah.
kind of. I was thinking of too, like having if I ever made merch, I just have a shirt and it'll just say shit, and then people I have shit on my shirt. So I think I have a lot of word, like a lot of shit to take care of, but one day I'll get there. But thanks for joining me. How are you doing today? How's your day going so far?
Good. We had a bit of a rush to get some tweets out and some announcements today. You're actually the first forum in which I will be speaking about our big announcement. It's not like a product thing. So obviously we're going to Christies on October 1st. This is for the Curio Cards NFTs, and people. It's October 1st. It's like what, 2-3 weeks away. I mean, that's like 4 years in crypto time. It's a long time for crypto. I mean, it's close for if you're trying to get the thing to happen, but it's pretty far. So people get bored. So we're and there's also just there's a lot of cards. There's 30 cards, and there's a lot of great information and stories about them. So this actually wasn't even my idea. Just some people in the Curio Discord channel said, let's do a Curio countdown to Christie's. Christie's Curio countdown. I love alliteration. And
I noticed that the Curio.
Yes,
I love the Curio cards. Rolls off the tongue.
Yeah, and there's Curio Collab, and it's like all the channels in Discord have like alliteration mostly. Any opportunity for alliteration, we take it. So we're going to be doing tweets every day about the cards between now and Christie's. So I sent out the announcement tweet today, written by like 4 different people, and we put another announcement in Discord. Getting people geared up for helping out, and talking to artists, getting their statements. And starting tomorrow, we'll post Apple, and then we'll post Nuts and Berry the next day, and we're just gonna start doing cards every day, starting from 1 all the way up to 30.
I love that. As with Curio Cards too, people going with you with like the Twitter ideas. Are those newcomers, or are those like from way back when too, like helping you out, or like
this was all new people.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the kind of like OG classic Curio was our Discord back in 2017. A couple of those people are around who helped with the project. We have even artists and developers and things like that that are still around, but most of the community, which is like 4,000 plus people in the Discord server now, is new. They are part of the rediscovery. We only had a couple hundred, maybe 200 or 300 people in the Discord in 2017. So it's mostly new. And the mods and the admins and a lot of the community leaders that have kind of arose are new. They discovered Curio in April or March, and some of them really amazing stories about how they found out about it. And this particular one was put together by 2 users that are new to the community as well, but already making a huge impact.
That's impressive though. That's cool. They could just come into this and help you out with that.
It's super important to me that people can just feel like they can just do something. I try to get out of people's way. I don't want to be a bottleneck or like a gatekeeper or anything like that. Every time I realize I'm bottleneck or gatekeeper on something, I try to figure out how to get rid of that. And really encourage people just to try things and to do stuff. And there's no wrong answers. Curio was an experimentation, and look where we got. So
yeah, well, listening to other interviews with you in it, I remember you saying you went to Bitcoin conventions, or even in San Francisco and stuff, and just if you didn't know about it, you just wanted to go talk to people that knew stuff about what you were trying to figure out and all that.
Yeah, if you're trying to learn something, just try to do something in it. Try to I got people who they want to help write press releases and things like that, and
so cool.
They're just learning what NFTs are, and that's amazing, because if you want to really make sure you understand something, try to write about it. You'll learn really fast where your questions are.
I just noticed
podcast about it.
True. I just, ever since I talked about it with Max Marisol.
He
was my last guest, and we're talking about it. But just to let you know too, I think I told you already, but how I got into NFTs, I just
I saw that story.
And Gary just
Yeah.
gave me a number 27 Curio, and I was like, and I didn't know anything about NFTs. All I heard of, I just know basically the floor level, like even below
Hmm.
floor, like I'm even like, yeah, I'm just low. And then I was just like, what the heck? And then my friend texted me, he's like, you just got a Curio card, like they like predate uh crypto punks and all that. And I was just like, what? And then I looked at the amount and I almost like shit myself because I was just like,
That's crazy. When did he do that?
he did it
When
on my
did Gary
birthday.
send you?
He did it on
What
my
day
birthday,
was that?
August 24th.
I mean, they were worth something then, like obviously, like in like March, people were grabbing them up for like $1, right? Or in
Yeah,
April. But I think, and now they're worth quite a
sounds
lot. But I think
crazy.
even August they were worth something, a good amount. So that's a really fun, wacky thing for him to do. That's really cool.
Yeah, I was just, yeah, I've never seen that much money in front
It's
of my
the
face
it's
before
like
too.
the best way to get into a project too, because now like your cost basis, like what it costs you to get involved is zero. So
Yeah,
it's just all fun. The price could like cut in half tomorrow, and you're like, sure, whatever. Uh,
yeah. It's honestly weird. Like I tell my friends about it, and a lot of them are just like, "What is that? Like, how's that worth that much?" And I'm like, it's they're like they say like it's just a picture, and
and
I'm
now you
like,
have to like answer that question, and that's like the question of NFTs is like, why is this picture worth
why
that
is
much money? And you're like, well,
I know. So, oh man, you should have seen me trying to explain it to my mom. I was just like, "Look at this,
how do
mom."
you answer that question? How do you
I,
like tell people how this image
well,
is worth that much money?
well, yeah, first she's just like, "Is this scam? Like, who is this guy?" And I'm like, because plus two, then it's a whole nother thing because he's not on regular TV and stuff. He's on YouTube and like
Mm.
Twitter and all
Hmm.
that. So she like a fourth party to Gary, and I'm like, Mom, I just promise this is a real thing. Like people, this is like, and then I try to explain to her like how cryptocurrency. I'm like, remember, because I got into Dogecoin early last year
Oh, there
when I
you
was
go.
when it
Yeah.
was like 0.000, and me
Hmm.
learning about this space, like am a very impatient person, so I sold maybe like 69,000 shares before I even hit a cent. So then I got FOMO again, and then I was just like,
Yeah.
no. So like I
Yep.
experienced all that. Like my girlfriend has a good story too. Like she just put in $15 around there, and she's already like got $2,100 now. And like
That's
damn.
great.
And that's the thing about it. You can't. The more I learn about this stuff, you can't expect to flip it, or if you want to sell, like you're just going to drive yourself crazy. You just let it sit and
Yeah.
learn about more of the other projects and learn more stuff about in the space.
And Doge is a good example of that because Doge's whole value comes from the community.
Mm.
It comes from like the people getting together and telling these jokes. It's a meme coin, right? So it's essentially it's a joke coin, right? It's a
Yeah,
community coin. It's not based on any like serious economic foundation. It's based on like how much fun it is to be a part of that community and how much people want to be in that community.
yeah,
So that's a really good example of something where the goal isn't to flip it. The goal is to engage, right? The goal is to become a part of it. Uh, and if it goes up, I mean, like, take profits, right? Like,
yeah.
but you don't have to sell all of it. You can sell like half. I'll tell people that. People come to me, they're like, hey, I got these cards and they're worth a lot of money. And it's a really important amount of money for me, but I don't want to like abandon the project, whatever. And I'll be like, if it's not a floor card, if it's anything above the floor price, I'll tell them like sell it and buy a floor, and pocket the
Yeah.
difference. Like you can still stay a part of the community and also impact your life. Like I'm not gonna get mad at anybody for doing that. That sounds smart.
Yeah, looking at I've got offers on the Curio car already, and I never if I looked at myself like a 14, I'm 28, I just turned 28, and if I looked at like my
Yeah, happy
14,
birthday. Yeah.
thank if I looked at my 14-year-old self and I like said I just turned down this like certain amount of offer, like over like like in the grands, I've never had that offer.
Welcome to the high stakes world of art collecting.
Yeah, man, I can't, and yeah, and then I never even had any like experience in the even the regular art world. So just
Yeah.
to
Well,
join,
now if someone asks you what you do, you can tell them you're an art collector.
there you go. And that sounds badass. That's great.
Right. Yeah.
Have you watched off topic real quick? I was talking to Max too about this. Have you seen the new Candyman? Are you in the movies?
I saw the trailer. I love all
Okay.
of the little like the paper animations. Like that looks such an
Yeah.
artistically beautiful movie. I haven't seen the movie though. I
Okay.
don't like scary movies.
Oh,
I'm a
you
huge
don't like
wuss.
Candyman.
But that trailer was extremely interesting because I wonder like how much of that is obviously just like artists expressing themselves, but I wonder if a
Yeah.
part of that was because it was filmed during COVID maybe.
Okay.
And you could do these little like these little paper cutouts of events without having to actually film lots of people.
Yeah.
It was just I don't know if that was my first thought. Like, was this maybe filmed during COVID, and it was a way for them to very creatively get around having a lot of actors on screen for certain scenes.
And I
I don't know
noticed,
how much of that is the movie. I only saw the trailer, but
yeah, well, it was cool too because they used art a lot in that movie because the main guy was an artist and he was just, it was just
mm,
cool to see me getting into all this stuff and then suddenly I'm watching it. It felt like it was just following me. It's just
yeah,
crazy.
you're
What is,
just you're neck deep in the art world now, man.
it's true. What's the scariest movie you've ever seen? What's the last
Oh, I
time
don't
you,
watch scary. I
no,
don't watch
not at
scary
all.
movies.
Ah.
I don't know. That's a good one.
Did you ever
I don't
grow
know.
did you have an experience where you watched something scary? You're like, nah, I'm not doing that again, or
No,
nothing?
I'm not traumatized. I just don't like things that are unpleasant. I'm
Yeah,
just
that's true. It is funny how I mean, I love scary movies, like how
I don't like running either, right? You know?
that's true. You know Michael Myers.
Hmm.
That how I want when I was like 5 years old, he's my idol, right? When I was young, because he's cool. But then when I saw him in person, he had his mask on, and I just turned around and I hit a house because I just finally ran because I was so scared and I just flat backed it. And then I'm crying, but then my dad had to force him to take off the mask and everything. I'm like, oh, it's not Michael. But yeah, I just for some
Yeah,
reason I don't know, something about people just love getting scared, I guess. And it doesn't make sense when when you say it like that. People,
yeah.
I don't know why you would like to get scared. But on the so like back then 2017 is when you
Hmm.
were how did you like have a team already and did you guys just like decided just to
Hmm.
or did you have a project before Curio Cards and then Curio Cards
Yeah,
happened?
yeah. That's exactly how it went down. The thing about when so there were other NFTs before us, but they weren't on Ethereum. They were on Bitcoin,
Yes,
and
correct.
they were very
That's
and
what
they were very
people
different.
yeah.
Yeah, the biggest, and it wasn't even like big. When I say the biggest, it's just like this one project that was, slightly people knew kind of it. It was called Rare Pepe, and
Yeah.
totally legendary project. But it was very different from us. It was not for artists really. It was for people who were engaging in the Pepe meme. It was like Dogecoin in that way. It was a community around a single meme, and obviously art was involved and artists were involved, but it was a meme art project, and it wasn't a platform for digital artists to release digital art. It was rare and collectible and all the things that NFTs are today. So you don't we didn't like sit down one day and we're like, let's invent NFTs. It was more like, we had done an art show the year before, a physical in-person art show at a gallery called Coding Canvas, and it was a really great event. And we had, I think it was like 5 or 6 artists, all doing art about crypto. This was for the San Francisco Bitcoin Meetup group. We had an event called Proof of Drink. We had an event called Proof of Art, and that was the art show, et cetera. We did a lot of events like that. There was a craft fair the year before. They used Bitcoin as like a payment, and did a lot of artists wrote that as well. But the art show, we had some artists with like really big pieces that would sell for a lot of money, and then we had another artist who had lots of prints, and everyone walked out the door with the print. Not everyone walked out the door with the giant, enormous 20K piece. Kraken walked out with that. The Kraken Exchange, Jesse, they bought a lot of the big art that day for their office. They were like redecorating, um, uh, but everyone walked out with a print, and that really stuck with me. And the next year, we were like, that was so much fun. Let's do that again. But we didn't want to like just do the exact same thing. We wanted to get more artists involved, and we looked at Rare Pepe and we're like, we really want to do this online, and we want it to be, a place for artists to launch their art. And there was nothing like this on Ethereum, but Ethereum was the better choice for this project at the time because, just the amount of there were some technical limitations on Counterparty, which is what they used for Rare Pepe, layer 2 on top of Bitcoin. And I know that there's some new projects that have solved those problems, but at the time, Ethereum was the way to solve it. And so it kind of happened organically, right? We're now like, okay, we want to do an art show. Okay, we want to do it online. Okay, well, we need to do it on Ethereum. And so just kind of like one thing rolled into the next. And I had a friend through the meetup group, Rhett Creighton, who was a very talented developer. And in 2017, I mean, the number of Solidity developers in the world, you probably could like fill a small room. Um, there weren't that many people who could do this stuff, and he was one of them.
Dang.
And yeah, and Thomas helped co-organize the event, and he also helped create the art show the year before. And he knew the art community, and he's like this huge personality on the internet and in the Bitcoin world. And so we just all got talking at a bar at a Bitcoin event. We were just all drinking and talking, and kind of designed Curio over drinks.
That's cool. And you just
Mm-hmm.
and then who came up with the name Curio cards?
I remember us hanging out in Rhett's apartment in the East Bay, and there was a whiteboard on the wall, and we were just writing words on the whiteboard. And I was like on like the thesaurus.com or something. And I think that actually I came up with the Curio part,
Okay.
but I always feel weird when I take credit for things, because maybe that's
Yeah.
not true. But I think I remember I found the word Curio on thesaurus.com, and then maybe it was Red or somebody said cards, and they like struck on the alliterative part. So it was also sort of like we were all around the same whiteboard. It was collaborative. There were a lot of other ideas that we were throwing around, and our goal was what's the quickest thing we don't want to like agonize over it. Like naming something's impossible, right?
Yeah.
So we're like, let's just like the quickest good enough that we can do just to get past it. And but it worked. We absolutely fell in love with the name. Obviously, it's a really great name.
And you, I heard too, you found your artwork or the mascot. You just got it off Fiverr.
Yeah. Once we had this thing, Curio cards. I think it was so Tom. The Curio mascot was Tom idea initially, and I think it was the conversation was like one of us, maybe me or Rhett, were like, who's Curio? It was like Curio's cards, like Curio. We were kind of trying to figure out the number of S's, and Tom was like, well, let's have a mascot, and he thought of the Curio raccoon, just because it sounded nice, and he went on Fiverr and like asked someone to make a raccoon that had like the C's and the I's and things like that, like little details. And there's an early Curio that is not great, but it was good enough, that we got from Fiverr. The Curio that you see now today was put together obviously by a very talented designer, not a Fiverr job, but an artist who's also part of the community who does all of the Curio drawings and things like that.
This one, who made this one? I wonder.
Yeah. So yeah, that is in his name, or their name is Curio. Like that is Curio themselves. So like the Twitter account is run by that raccoon. Whenever you read a tweet, like you can read it in the voice of like the raccoons typing it away. So that is Curio, and Curio is the spokesman, and Curio is the face and the voice. And there's a YouTube video where we have a tutorial on how to use the wrapper, which is just this tool you need to get old Curio cards to work. And it's narrated by like a professional voice person that I know. And the joke is that that's Curio also. And it's like this really like intense, deep voice. It's like the movie trailer guy in a world.
Okay.
And so the joke is that that's also Curio's voice. Yeah.
Nice little raccoon with that deep ass voice.
Yeah. And there's a lot of cool fan art for Curio as well. Robeck did these really cool drawings back in 2017 of Curio who was like very amped up and upset and strung out, because every Tuesday we'd release new cards. So in the lead up to the cards coming out, Robeck would release these drawings of Curio going like, where are the cards? I need the cards. And those are really fun too. So there's a lot of great versions of Curio out there.
That's cool. So like one in the future too, would you ever like think of like having Curio trading cards like Pokemon? Like have all 30 cards and what 17 be?
Yeah, so that obviously is true already for the cards that exist.
Yeah.
In terms of releasing like a new card, like a card that is of Curio themselves, it wouldn't be a 2017 card, so I don't think it wouldn't be part of the collection. But people are releasing new cards already. Because it's an open platform. You can't stop them, right? Yeah. Robeck partnered with a bunch of artists, and he's doing this thing called remixes.
Yeah,
he's focusing on. Saw those?
Yeah, those are sweet.
Yeah, so he's focusing on his cards right now, but there's also work being done by other artists for the other cards. And essentially, if you hold the card, you'll get new NFTs dropped on you by new artists. And the kind of line we have is that those are not like official 2017 Curios; they're just community Curios or derivative works, fan works. but the 30 is like the original set, and then 17B is the fun caveat footnote.
A nice
Yeah,
more lore to the legend of the Curio.
yeah, exactly.
I like that too. The remix cards, they kind of remind me of that like Atlantis cartoon or it's
Hmm.
or what cartoon? I'm gonna put it in the edit too.
Okay.
It's on the tip of my tongue. He has like nice those round glasses, and they like go on Atlantis something. I don't know. It's gonna come to my mind after like we are done with this interview too. It always happens like
Hmm.
that. On a for the wrapping too, I've seen
Hmm.
like, do people unwrap the Curio card and wrap it again, or how does that work? I've seen,
Yeah. So, what is the wrapper? I guess, right, is the question.
yeah,
Uh, and my goal is not to confuse anyone. So, first up, if you just got a Curio card on OpenSea or Gary gave you one or whatever, like you probably don't need to know anything about the wrapper. The wrapper was this tool that exists for people who have old cards, the 2017 cards.
okay,
When Curio came out, OpenSea didn't exist. ERC 721 didn't exist. ERC 1155 didn't exist. These are NFT token standards. None of that stuff existed. That's the downside of being first is you're compatible with nothing. So now that people are interacting with Curio again and they wanted to be able to sell them on OpenSea, we had to make something called a wrapper. And it's a great name. It's actually like very literal. It's like you take the card, the old uncompatible one, and you wrap it inside a new card that is compatible. And in
okay,
like the collectible world, it's sort of like putting in a collectible sleeve, the
yeah,
card.
yeah, exactly,
Yeah. So that's what the wrapping process does. So once it's wrapped, you don't really ever need to do anything else. People just leave it in the wrapper because then they can trade it on OpenSea. They can trade it on, you know, other NFT platforms. They can you view the stats on Crypto Slam, things like that.
okay,
Um, the only reason why you would unwrap would be to like to prove to yourself that the card is actually in there, like to take it out and look at it. But you can
oh,
also just like look at the transaction and see that there's a real card backing it. So there's really no reason to unwrap, but
okay,
you have to be able to unwrap. The option has to exist for the cards, the new ones to have value, because then you know that this card is actually the old card, and you know that connection is very important.
and then the only time you could, so like if you say if you bought a card off of OpenSea, just make sure look at those transactions to see
It's already wrapped, yeah.
it's already
If it's
wrapped.
a verified contract card, it has a little blue check mark, then it cannot exist without there being a Curio card backing. You know, it has to wrap something. You
Okay,
can't just we can't just print new Curio cards the way the
yeah,
contract's set up. There, it's always a one-to-one relationship. So the downside is the way OpenSea shows their UI is they'll say a card was minted when really it was just wrapped. So sometimes people will come in and they'll be like, I saw on OpenSea that a bunch of cards were minted. And I'll be like, no new cards are being made. All the cards are made in 2017. Even the ones that people bought for the first time in 2021 were still made and minted in 2017. They just sat in the storefront. Um, what's happening now is people taking those old cards and wrapping them, and that shows up as a mint on
okay,
OpenSea because to OpenSea's perspective, the card suddenly exists.
okay.
They couldn't see it before. You know, it was this thing that they can't recognize a Curio card. It's older than they are. They don't understand it. Yeah,
um, on the Yeah, like that's I like that idea of you saying like you put like a sleeve. That's a good idea.
yeah,
And not any
yeah.
other really cards do that either, I don't think. Like,
Well, the old projects do, and they have to think of their vocabulary. So wrapper is a term that exists outside of Curio cards. It works really well for us because collectible cards like wrap it in a sleeve, like you can picture that in your head.
yes.
Uh, Mooncats is another really old project, not as old as us, but I think they're 2018 or something. They're still very old, and they have the same problem. They're not compatible either. But like wrapping a cat in a thing sounds terrifying, right? That sounds bad.
Cat in a
Um,
bag.
yeah. So what they did is they call their wrapper, they called it an acclimator, and it like acclimates the cats to like the new environment. You know,
Ah,
um,
okay.
so it's like I think I'm pronouncing that right. Acclimator, like when you go to high altitude, you need to acclimate to the new altitude. That's what they call their wrapper. That they're acclimating the cats to the new environment, but it's still a wrapper.
I think Hero Cards got it off the hook with the just a wrapper instead of a
Yeah, we got lucky being trading cards.
what's
It's a little
the
bit easier.
what's the purpose too of burning cards? Or is there like is that what you just have to do eventually? Or is it just because they don't sell or back or
Oh,
like
so there were
yeah,
a couple of burn. You mean the original burn?
yeah, yeah. And then
Hmm.
just the knowledge behind burning them, like what how come you have to burn them and all that too and all that.
Yeah. So for people who don't know, burning is it's just destroying the card, right? Where you send it to an address that you can never get it back from.
Okay.
You send it to a black hole. That's called burning.
See, in my head,
Or
I
you send it to a
thought you just you like delete it, like I'm done with it.
people. There's another way you can do it where you send it to a contract and then self-destruct the contract,
Oh,
but it
wow.
still exists. It's just held by something that can't ever give it back. There's no way to like destroy it in that regard. It has to be, everything has to be tracked. Like crypto is like a big giant ledger. So if you send it to an address that doesn't exist, like just zero, like a bunch of zeros essentially, then you've burned it because you can never get it back. Nobody controls that address. It's a fake address.
Okay.
So when we first came out with Curio cards in 2017, we had our conversation over drinks and we were like, okay, let's do this. The question becomes, well, how many prints? Because we wanted to do the prints. That's why I mentioned the prints
Yeah.
from the art show. Everyone walked out the door with the print. They were small and easy to get. They weren't $20,000. They were $10, right? So we're like, well, let's make these things, sell them for like $1 or $10 or whatever a piece. Make it really easy for people to get involved.
Yeah.
So how many do we make? And that's like asking how many people are going to show up the first day. You don't know. And also, like, what's even an appropriate amount for an NFT? There was nothing for us to look at. We can't be like, well, there's 10,000 punks, so we should do 10,000.
Yeah.
Punks
Exactly.
didn't exist yet.
Jeez.
We had no barometer. So the good idea we had was, and I believe this was Rhett maybe, the good idea we had was to make just a crap ton of them, a shit ton, and we made 100,000 of each card, 1 through 10.
Okay.
Just because we thought that was just a big number,
Yeah.
And the goal was we released 3 a week. So if week 1 was apple, nuts, and berries, 1, 2, and 3, and we told people, okay, there's 100,000 of them. They cost $1 each. At the end of the week, we're going to burn whatever doesn't sell.
Okay.
So you decide how many exist.
Dang.
Your interest, right? If 20 people show up and they each buy 1 card, then there's 20 cards. If 100 people show up, there's 100. If 1,000 people, there's 1,000. Right? Like, essentially, we're like getting a read, on the room, and we're like, how many people are there? And you decide how rare these are. So we did that, and we burned, like 98,000 of them. There's only like 1,800, about of each of the first 3. We'd actually only loaded the first 2,000. And then the idea was once those 2,000 sold out, then we'd load the rest,
Okay.
which comes into play later. But for the Apple, the first 3, they sold under 2,000. So we just burned everything left over. And then we did that the next week with 3, 4, and 5, 4, 5, and 6, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
And then on the last one, number 10, or I think actually like the last 4, we said, because they weren't really selling, we hadn't found the market, nobody knew what NFTs were.
I know. Geez.
Yeah,
Probably
like
people are
nobody
what the
got
hell are
it.
you
These
talking
things are
about?
sitting there practically for free, and nobody wanted them. It was a failed project, in many ways. So the last couple we said like, well, we're not going to burn. We'll just let it ride. See how long it takes for them to sell out. But we only loaded the first 2,000, so they didn't sell out. And then 4 years later, people found it and they went in and they bought everything that was available. And it's a good thing we didn't load it all in. I mean, maybe who knows if it would have been a bad thing, but they could only buy up to the 2,000 limit. They saw there were 100,000 cards and they thought there's 100,000 of these. And nobody realized that once you got to 2,000, it stopped working. And so when they realized that, they went, oh my God, these are a lot rarer than we thought. And that was kind of a cool, fun part of the early lore. Cause I'm like asleep at this point, like they found it while I was like asleep, and like their whole thing blew up, and I wake up the next morning and people have already figured this all out. But they're like trying to buy all the cards up, and they think I should be able to get more. There's 100,000 of them. We've only bought 2,000, and it just, the thing kept failing. Once we realized what had happened, we burned the rest. So most of the cards were burned in 2017, but I think the last 3 or 4 cards, we burned the remaining amount this year, when, once we realized that people were trying to buy them. Like they were, for all intents and purposes, burned, and that they were inaccessible.
Yeah.
But like technically the person who set up the vending machine could have pulled them out. So we found that old key laying around somewhere and used it to destroy all the cards. So that key is now useless. It has no special power. You can't make any new cards with it.
Okay. How much to like prepping, like when you like with the vending machine too, like who do you even reach out to even start that when
Yeah,
you're
nobody.
reinventing, or like when you're inventing that
Yeah,
thing, the whole thing. Like I don't.
yeah,
That's what you
no,
guys did as a team.
yeah,
It's so cool.
nobody. All the cool technical code stuff was Rhett. Rhett figured out we'd like brainstorm ideas. He'd tell us what was possible and what
Mhm.
wasn't, etc. And then Rhett would do it. He did all the code stuff. So Rhett created the vending machines. I think he was copying some existing ideas around vending machines, but they hadn't been used in this way or something, or they were just kind of a new concept. I certainly hadn't seen them used before at the time. They were a new idea to me, but Red heard about them, or maybe he invented them. I'm actually not 100% sure on that. And so he made the vending machines. He made the Curio card contract because there was no NFT card contract back then. And I did the website, the front end part, and then me and Tom just kind of got the word out.
That was, and then yeah, that was mostly because do you draw? Do you do art and all that? Are you an artist, or you
I
don't?
mean, amateurly, I would not claim to be an artist, and I did not do any of the art for Curio cards.
Yeah.
We had worked with artists the year before, and one of them is also a Curio artist. One of the artists who was at the art show year before is also a Curio artist, and another artist had worked with Tom before. So like we knew these artists, and we saw with the sort of power, for lack of a better word, of crypto, that you could make what is a Bitcoin, right? It's a scarce digital object.
Yeah.
And like, why can't you sell your artwork if you're a digital artist? Because it's not scarce.
Mhm.
So let's just plug those together and make a picture that has some sort of digital scarcity that you can like track and like understand and own and have provenance and all those really cool art words. So we were pretty sure that was a good idea. We then took that idea to artists and said, do you want to try this with us? And so then they brought the art and we brought the idea and we worked together and released all the cards.
Did you guys come up with that idea too of like the artists would get royalties and like that,
So
or
the
like
original, it's actually even more generous than that. The original sales, the vending machines themselves, 100% of those sales go to the artists.
that's cool.
We did not take any cut of that. It was a full everything, because we were just trying to essentially like get NFTs to exist, right? Like once they existed, then we had some ideas around like creating marketplaces and tools, and there might be a business in that. There might be something we could do there. But first, it's just an art show. First, like, can we even create these things? Do they even
Yeah.
exist? So all the money went to the artist. It was easier anyway. The only time that didn't happen was Philippe donated the proceeds of his cards to like a charity, which was pretty cool. But that was his choice. And what you're talking about now with royalties is post wrapper. Now that we actually are on OpenSea, OpenSea has this option built into it where you can choose to have a percentage of the sales go back to you. Like you can keep some of it. It's a way for you to like. It's like you put a fee on your store. So we voted with cards. People used their Curio cards to vote. We had a big governance thing. We set up this snapshot tool that's used by DeFi projects. We use like all these DeFi tools to do a vote with Curio cards and ask people, what do you want to do with this fee? And proposed, and we had discussions in Discord first. And the winning proposal was do a 1% fee, which was very, very low compared to what other projects were doing. And 100% of that fee would go directly to the artists to kind of like lean on that original story of in 2017 when 100% went to the artist. Like, let's just keep that alive.
Yeah.
And I love that because that was the whole point in the first place. We weren't trying to make money off the sales themselves. The idea was, is there some sort of ecosystem around it, which now definitely exists.
Yeah.
So all the funds go immediately to an artist-controlled multi-sig, and they then manage the payments themselves. So they have full control of that.
That's so cool. What would what did 8th grade Travis wanted to be when he grow up? Like, did you even see yourself doing all this? Like, I know
Yeah, art collector was not on my career list either.
Well, like, and then I heard that story too. Didn't you quit your job right before?
Oh yeah, that's funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll,
Explain that real. Or
I even learned recently it's even funnier than I thought. So had 2 weeks before is my like defense that I didn't know this was happening ahead of time. Two
Oh,
weeks before I put my 2 week notice in, I did all the right things. People think that I knew this was happening because the timing was so perfect. So on my last day, which was on like a Friday, I tweeted last day of work, excited about what's next. And I usually don't do that. I usually don't tweet personal things, but I wanted to get into Solidity. I wanted to get into Ethereum development. And there was these projects that I had been doing kind of volunteer work with
mhm.
in their community. So I was kind of like, you know, if I'm going to be working with these other projects, that's kind of a more, visible career. So like, whatever, I'll just sort of say like, I'm going out to do new things. And, and then I went to bed. The next day I wake up and everyone had found Curio cards. And people were like, he quit his job for Curio cards. That's the thing he was excited about. So that's the story that I've told before. I learned recently the first tweet that went out that said, hey, look, we found this thing called Curio cards. There's this guy named Diaping, and he found Curio cards not by looking for Curio cards. He went looking for the oldest NFT art project he could find on Ethereum.
Hmm.
So he went from that direction and he found Curio cards.
Okay.
And his first tweet that said, I found this thing and here's how you can access it. And it's cool too. He didn't just buy all the cards up. He like showed people how to buy them. He like created a guide. It was such a cool, very friendly discovery. Anyway,
Wow.
that tweet went out 2 hours after my tweet. Two
Wow.
hours. Yeah.
Dang, you just
I of
like,
course didn't know about it yet, but I said I'm quitting my job, and 2 hours later, the Curio rediscovery like officially publicly happened.
wow. You like
Yeah.
talk about just throwing it in the digital universe too.
Yeah.
Jeez. Did you ever?
People ask me like, did I expect that would happen? It was
Yeah.
never a guarantee for me that anyone ever would care about Curio again. I knew it was important historically, and other people have recognized that. But it being important economically um, wasn't a guarantee. Like it could just be that, like, yeah, that was interesting. They did an early thing, but it's not the thing. We want this thing.
Yeah.
Um, and the idea of what's the first project was a very new concept. Nobody really cared about that history. Like when we released the thing in 2017 and then CryptoPunks came out 2 weeks or 4 weeks later or whatever, we were like, we're first. And they're like, no, we're first. Like nobody used that language. You couldn't find, nobody said because it's just like, we're trying a thing together, like
Yeah.
caring about which one is first is like the last 6 months, last year,
Yeah.
most of a change. So before that happened, before the market started caring about that economically as well as historically, there was no reason why Curio had to come back. So I didn't predict it.
I like I like that too. With the NFT space, it's more everyone cheering everyone on instead of trying to compete who's
Hmm.
better. Because
That's
like,
how it started. Yeah. And I
yeah,
see a lot of that still today, and that's definitely how it started. Obviously, it's a much bigger ecosystem, but
yeah,
it's still there. It's still there.
yeah. It's cool seeing like, of course, you get people in the chat sometimes like they get mad because they can't sell something, or but like
Right.
more the bulk of the like it people are still
Yeah.
just love the community and like learning stuff. I never,
The Curio community is it's crazy positive, and the NFT
yeah,
community at large. I think
yeah,
there's like the
at
connection
large,
with the artists. I think the connection with the artists kind of helps ground things and like reminds people why they're here, which is the love of art. Even
yeah,
if they get caught up in the investment and the money, it like it reminds them why they're here. Whereas like the ICO craze or altcoins, it's like you're there for the money,
yeah.
and you can get a little bit lost in that.
Well, it's kind of cool, like going back to like the movies or like music, um, like figuring like discovering a song back then, like 4 years ago, 5 years ago, like how the hell have I not heard about this song? And like it's so good. But then like you find a
Yeah. Yeah.
project, and then you go through their whole catalog of like, holy crap, this
Yep.
is amazing, and you just like learn
Oh,
about
that's
it.
cool.
Like,
That's a really great. I never thought about that way. It happened to me like recently. I was watching some song that was like crazy popular. It was like 1 billion views, like 10 years or whatever. And I'd never even heard of it.
yeah, you never even hear.
And I'm like, I watched the thing like a couple of times because it was a really good song. And like, and people were like, "Oh yeah, we're so over that." I'm like, "That's a good song." Uh,
I know you always feel like, what? I didn't know about
yeah,
it.
I never thought of Curio that way. That's cool. Yeah, people rediscovered an art collection, and the difference here is the way in which they shared it. The tools they had to share it are very different than me sharing a song. I
Yeah,
actually could you could actually like grab a piece of it. You could have a stake in its ownership and its distribution, um, which was again like that was the whole point, right? Like
yeah,
digital things, like a song as well, are not rare, scarce, collectible. And that's what we tried to do with Curio. And 4 years later, that property let it be popular again.
Yeah, like even with this, like I'm talking to a co-founder, a very special thing. Like I couldn't go talk to like Green Day or like
Yeah.
Weed or something, you know, just like I can't
Hmm.
I could have to like write a letter and hopefully they find it or see it.
Yeah,
And
because like I'm not some big star who used his celebrity to make a thing, right? It's just like we tried a thing out 4 years ago, it failed horribly, and now people care about it again, and I'm doing my best to support them. Um, but it happens in a lot of things in crypto. You can go like there are Discord channels where you go in and ask a support question, and the person who answers is one of the founders of the project, and it's like a multi-billion-dollar project, and you're like talking to like the developer for your little wallet problem.
it's crazy.
The connection to the communities is so much more close and intimate right now, which is I hope we keep that.
I think that's why like I've been holding on to that Curio card and now I'm having like a crazy thing like if one day I do sell it, but I know it's going to be very hard if I do sell that card because it's like and
Well,
now like
you can buy a cheaper one.
yeah, I know, right? Now I'm just like immersed though, like I don't know, it's just something
Yeah,
about like having like just being in the like the club now, like you're in
yeah, club.
it's
I
a
think
cool like
yeah,
feeling.
and that club thing is sort of the salvation here for how we can keep that intimate community, because the general chat that anybody can join will of course get too busy for artists and founders to hang out in, but there's only a limited number of curio cards. And we have channels in the Discord where if you have a card, you get access to the channel, the Curio Club. There's channels for the book club if you have a book card and they like read books. There's a full set channel if you have a full set, which is a very small channel. Um, and I can still interact and hang out with card holders without being overwhelmed by people in general.
Yeah,
And that has a limit, like there will only ever be a certain number of cards, or like Robeck, right? So Robeck's he has his cards he released, it was 500, 500 and 250 were his
okay.
three cards.
What
So
number
at
is
most,
again?
mhm,
What number
the 21, 22 and 23.
Okay, okay.
I just got this in the
Remix
mail. I need to
cards
hang it
too,
up
right?
behind me so people can see
That's
it.
so cool. That's
Um,
cool.
I like the framing, and they had a supply of 500 each, except the last one, which was 250, which was very clever. What that means, though, is like at most, if you wanted to make a channel where the only way to talk to them is you have to have a card, that channel will never be more than 500 people.
Yeah,
Well, I guess actually, hold on, because you could have any
like
number
in
of cards. It
theory.
could never be more than 1,200
Yeah.
people. Because all the different cards, but it's going to be way less than that because like half the cards are lost to time, and the other half people hold multiple copies, etc. So like he can guarantee to always, no matter how popular Curio gets, he'll always be able to have a connection to his card holders that won't be drowned out, and there you can always talk directly to the artist. Uh,
And you won't go to a coffee shop getting hound down by all these people.
right?
That's
Yeah, yeah, because it's the
nice.
internet, right? Yeah, it's anonymous, hopefully.
I think, oh, that's so cool. But oh, I just want to get back to like your high school
Mhm.
self. What were you always into like uh I guess what were you like going into college for too? Like or I guess freshman year, what did you like
Yeah,
even think about doing?
engineering. I was
Okay.
going originally for engineering. Um, though I didn't end up doing that. But yeah, my interests were always I wanted to make things, and but I liked the more like the structural componenty things rather than like the design making of
Okay.
things. So now I'm doing software development, but that's actually a very recent career change. I went to like a boot camp like a couple years ago. Um, yeah, it's some sort of engineering field was always where I wanted to be.
Okay. And then you got
When I was really little, I wanted to be a mailman.
a mailman.
Yeah.
What got you? What was your any like relatives mailman or mail woman or
No, the story's been, I don't remember this. The story's been told to me as we went to a post office for like a field trip in first grade or something. I don't know how old I was, kindergarten. And I liked the mail sorting machine.
that's
I thought the mail sorting machine was cool. So I want to be a mailman because I liked the machine.
I love my favorite mail scene is from the Grinch when he throws the jury duty stuff in the cubbies. If you know what I'm
Oh
talking
yeah, yeah. Sorting the mail, yeah.
about. Jury duty. I love it.
Yep.
Um
Hmm.
what's when did you like first did you figure out like Bitcoin and all like crypto organically, or like did someone else tell you about it too, or how did that even?
Talk, yeah, you got to talk to people about stuff. It's the only way to learn to figure something out.
Okay.
I had read about Bitcoin before I really understood it, and I didn't get it. I was reading all the right things, and I just didn't get it,
Okay.
and I ignored it for a while because of that. And then one day I had a conversation about it with somebody else, and they knew only as much as I knew, probably even a little bit less. But just in that conversation of like actually like talking to them, and it wasn't one conversation, it was over a while, and it's like, what does that mean? Let me go look that up. Or like, I don't understand, I can't answer that question, or I don't know what I just said, or that made me realize what it was, and that's what got me interested in it. So yeah, if you don't know what something is, try writing about it, try talking about it, try interviewing people about it. There's no quicker way to really understand something.
I do like that take of, if you want to learn about something, write about it, because
Mhm.
I'd be probably 5 words if I was talking about NFT, if I was
Yeah.
just like on a notebook and like it's
And your first draft's gonna have a lot of bad takes too. Like you're gonna think you know what you're talking about, and it's gonna be horribly wrong.
yeah.
So like show it to somebody else. They don't have to know more than you. Just have to know a little bit different than you, and they'll like flag maybe half the things that are wrong. And then while you're trying to fix those, you'll find the rest. And like, yeah, don't be afraid of saying the wrong thing. I'll do these interviews now, and I might say an old fact that's incorrectly, or mention something about NFTs that's like not true or something. And if that happens, people tell me, and I like, wow, I really thought I understood that. And now I realize I didn't. Now I know, but now I know the right way. The
Yeah.
only way to know if you're right is to talk about it and let somebody correct you.
I've been I've been noticing about that with myself of in Discord. I don't say anything really in Discord unless I just hype the place up, you know. But
Hmm.
I like hearing other people talk of like their perspectives, and they're still saying like lingo of like Ethereum and stuff. Like I kept saying ETH when people just say like, just say ETH, dude. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
just like, I'm sorry, but like just all that
a,
little tiny stuff.
a friend of mine was talking to me on the phone about NFTs, and they went NIFs. They said like, oh yeah, like so I don't understand NIFs. And I was like, oh, first of all, that's great. They were pronouncing like ETH, right? You're supposed to pronounce it right. They were doing it the right way. The
They're
advice you
doing it.
got is pronounce it. And they went NIFs, and I'm like, NIFs, that's great. Unfortunately, it's NFTs or Nifties. I like that. People call them Nifties. But yeah, that's a great example. Just once you start actually like, talking to somebody about it, because he just had no idea he was wrong. Like that just made total sense to him.
They're just more confused now. Like, what the hell? I thought I could say ETH. It's telling me ETH now. It's so
Yeah.
weird. On the yeah, just all that stuff is so cool. Once again too, like I just appreciate you coming on here and like
Hmm.
talking it out with me, talking some shit with me. So like, is there any advice for like someone that would want to start out like a whole project? Like I just so getting into a new NFT, I'm like, I tried this one they're called approving corgis. And so
Okay.
I'm just inside the Discord though, but
Love corgis.
I know. Man, that's one of my. I want to get either a Pomsky, because those are just adorable. I love the, and then corgi. Something about corgis when they like wiggle just their butt.
They're so happy.
It's
Yeah.
so
You got
happy.
to get a mix. Get a mix of those two.
Ooh, that'd be nice. That'd be cool. But like,
Hmm.
I with the proving corgis, it's cool seeing they just had their launch today, and they didn't like for they have like they're running into questions of like what should we do, because they didn't sell out yet, but they're just like panicking, but not panicking, but they're just like wondering how they could get more engagement and stuff. But me
Hmm.
thinking to you about you like what you said, like you guys kind of failed, and but like 4 years later is a long time. That's probably like 80 years in NFT world, but
Yeah. Yeah.
but like
It
just
was the dawn of time in NFT world.
any advice you could like give people that are just trying to start up something, or like any pointers?
Yeah. I'm sure that I'm like in your example there, even if they're not selling all the cards, I'm sure they've learned a lot, or all the corgis. I'm sure they've learned a lot, and like they can take that to the next project. And also the way crypto stuff works, it could just sell out randomly 6 months from now, right?
Yeah.
The main thing is like if you don't hate your product, it's
Mhm.
not MVP enough, right? There's always so much you can do to not release something. Like there's always like It could be a little bit more polish, more research, more design, more, whatever. I need to talk to a lawyer. I need to get a startup license, like all these different things that you can do that aren't just like, do people even like the idea of getting the thing out? The first website we released, I hated it. The raccoon drawing was like super basic. It was a blogspot template that like we messed with. It had like bootstrap icons. Like it's not the website you see now. That website did come out in 2017, and we're gonna be replacing with a new website like in a week. But we'll still have the old website on like vintage.curiocards, something like that. But there was a website even before that I will not be putting up for vintage because it's super ugly. And like, but that's when we knew it was ready to launch, because like there's always an MVP below your MVP, right? And I was like, this is the bare minimum things that I need to get this product out the door. But there's things in there that you want, but you don't actually technically need. The website didn't have to be pretty for us to sell digital art.
Yeah.
We barely even needed a website. We could have pointed people straight to the contract address and said interact with it, but that was like crazy. So we put a little bit of work into that. But yeah, like, is there a more basic, like, just get the thing out, just get people interacting with it? Because also, like, once we got it out, people showed up that helped us then develop future work. This character named Moon showed up in the Discord, and he's a talented developer as well, and he helped us. My friend Kian, once we launched it, he got really interested in it, and then he helped make a wallet. And none of those people would have helped us when we were doing stealth mode, right? And we beat CryptoPunks. It wasn't our goal to beat CryptoPunks. We didn't know about each other until like, I didn't even know about them at the time. It was like a year later, maybe, that I learned about, or no, months later that I learned about CryptoPunks.
Curio cards, they start were you guys in California? Did they start, and then where does CryptoPunks? Are they from the same?
I'm not sure. I ran into the CryptoPunks guy at a conference in New York.
Okay.
I don't know if they're from New York. I wasn't, obviously, and I was at the conference.
Yeah.
But we came out, I think, like 3.5 weeks before they did.
Okay.
And if we had spent another 3 weeks making the website better, or another 4 weeks making the website better, then Curio cards would still be cool. The same with CryptoPunks is still very cool. It'd still be old and OG and really interesting, but it wouldn't have been the first anymore, which is also like really important. So just like get it out. And when Curio cards failed, I didn't like give up on everything. I kept doing things, helping out in different ways, using what I learned I learned a lot in Curio cards failure about running a project and being a part of a project. And the kind of handoff of responsibilities and roles as it evolved. Because my goal was just to keep it alive as long as possible. So we handed off responsibilities. There was like a lot of changes over time, and I learned a heck of a lot about project management and about the website, the new one, like building that website. I learned a lot and things like that.
And now
so just try things.
Now the whole collection's that going to Christie's auction.
That's right. Yep. And this one here I got framed because Robeck did it based off of me.
Oh, really? So I was wondering why that's a profile pic. That's great.
Yeah. He wanted to do this archetype thing. He did the archetypes of the wizard, which is Mad Bitcoins, because he's a magical guy. And then the bard, which was me, because I was the one talking the most about Curio at the time. Like, my role was just to like go on podcasts, go on interviews. So I was singing the songs of Curio. And Rhett was the barbarian because, Rhett was the muscle. Rhett got things done. So those 3 cards are very loose approximations of us. So it's an image drawn of my likeness is going to sell at Christie's.
That's that's crazy, right?
And that was not the goal that I set out to do.
Yeah. In
2017, the goal was, why can't digital artists sell their work, right? Like, that makes so much sense. Let's just do it. I'm sure it'll be crazy popular. And it wasn't. So just try things. And even if they fail, doesn't mean you were wrong. Just means maybe it was too early.
Kind of like getting older and stuff too, like learning about life habits and stuff. Like, it's good to think ahead, but like just whatever's in front of you, just get it done and do what you enjoy. And then see if it grows into something beautiful, or if it dies, you can't control it. Just like,
I fear it's not you do as many things as you can, because maybe one of them will be successful.
Yeah. What is it? You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
There you go. Yeah.
And then, so October 1st is the auction, and
Mm-hmm.
the
October
I thought
1st,
I thought
Christies.
and I thought another crazy thing too. It's in lot one, so it's like one of the firsts
Mm-hmm.
going up for
Yep.
auction. That's a
That's
pretty
I've been learning a lot about the auction world. That's a big deal being in lot one. That's a huge sign of confidence from the auction house, because the momentum that Curio cards, the lot one brings, has to carry the whole sale. If your first lot flops, the other ones won't sell well either. So them making a lot one is them saying we believe Curio cards are going to really go crazy. So that's really cool to get that vote
that's
of
really sweet.
confidence from
And there's gonna
this
be
traditional art house.
and there's gonna be a watch party on October 1st, I
Yep.
think. That'd be so
Yep.
fun.
We'll be in the Discord. So
Ah,
join the Discord, discord.curio.cards.
yeah.
There's going to be a live auctioneer, as how it's been described to me. There'll be like the person with the gavel, maybe. I hope there's a gavel standing on like maybe a podium, like pointing at people with signs in the audience. Like, I don't know. I'm like picturing how it is in movies, but maybe it's like amp change for the internet. But there'll be a live stream of a person standing in a room at Christie's auctioning off the Curio cards, doing that fast cadence auctioneer talk. So we're going to watch that in the Discord channel in one of the group lounges.
That's so cool. And shout out to Noah. He's the
Yeah.
type two that's talking to, or I guess he's doing all the behind the scenes work with Christie's, right? He works
Yeah.
for
Noah is the NFT guy at Christie's. Noah is the person at Christie's who said, "Hey, we should do NFTs." So hugely influential individual right there as well.
And then another big thing too with it, it's one of the first thing bid with Ethereum, like being bid
Yeah.
with Ethereum.
Yep, Curio Cards got some more firsts. We're not first at Christie's, obviously, like Beeples and CryptoPunks have done Christie's as well. I think we're like third or fourth though. But we are the first that'll do an entirely ETH auction at Christie's. It'll be the first time they do an auction entirely denominated in ETH.
That's so crazy. And then that's just another, that's just opening up more doors of people auctioning or playing with cryptocurrency and stuff.
I think it's the beginning of it. It's them showing, because that's work, they have to like figure out how to support a whole new thing. They're not doing that just for us. They're doing that. Obviously, they're excited about us because like that's just how the community thinks of the full sets in terms of ETH. But I expect they're going to be doing all sorts of NFT sales in ETH after this.
Yeah, that's just like, it's like not inevitable, but it's going to be part of our future. Like there's going to be NFTs and cryptocurrency, and just it's going to be like
Curio cards paving the way.
yeah, like there's going to be one day in my house I'm going to just have wallpaper of every Curio card, just like nice.
Oh yes, please. If you do that, send me a picture.
Montage.
Or just like the Curio face hundreds of times going down the sides.
I'll get like shower curtains Curio card.
There you go.
It's in like you could do anything with Curio cards like this merch wise.
Well, there's actually really interesting things in the licensing of Curio cards too.
Oh.
When we did it, 2017, it was still the artist's artwork. We just said like, we're going to help you sell. So we didn't like make them sign a contract or like they didn't sign over rights to us or anything. Like we don't have any like rights to their artwork other than like the understanding that we'll use it, promotionally. Like Mark, when we tweet about Curio, I'm going to put the apple on it, right?
Yeah.
Like that was the only understanding, but we don't own the artwork. It's still the artwork's owned by the artists.
That's cool.
Other than us putting on the website and like tweeting about it and stuff, that's it. So you can buy the NFT and then you own the NFT. But if you want to use the artwork in a derivative work, like you want to sell shower curtains or t-shirts or whatever that has the card on it, and you want to sell it for money, you need to get a license agreement with the artists. But some of the artists Robeck started this as well, but I think there's like Robeck, Thoros, and Philippe are all doing this now. If you own the card, if you hold the card, you hold a derivative use license. The card is a license to derivatively use the artwork.
Cool.
It's like a liquor license, right?
Like a liquor license. If you sell it, like, that's awesome. That's a cool idea.
It kind of like they have utility, right? It adds a value to the card because if you want to sell t-shirts with the Apple card on it, you need to go buy an Apple, and there's only a set number of those. So it's like getting a liquor license, right? So cool. If you have the 27, you could sell shower curtains with the 27 on it for money not the 27 because Max doesn't do this licensing. You have to talk to Max directly. But if you own an Apple, you could do like or any of the story set because those are all Philippe cards. You can do a shower curtain of Curio apples or whatever you want. So cool. As long as you own the apple, you can do it for profit. You don't need to own the thing to do it just for yourself. If you're not making money, derivative can be allowed. Again, that might depend on the artist, but I think that's generally, but if you want to do it,
selling it, you're just like
commercially.
Yeah. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's like, like really parody or something. Yeah.
That's really cool.
Mhm.
Man, NFTs, Travis, they're just crazy.
Yeah. I think that Curio is the first to that as well. And I asked, and nobody's found another NFT project where holding the card gives you derivative rights. But I have not done an analysis of the entire field to know for sure, but
Yeah.
nobody has told me yet. So if anybody out there knows of another NFT project that did that, please let me know.
Oh, that's it. Man, it's just you guys had a very just listening to all your stories, like your team just seems so great. Like you had
Yeah.
so
And
many
that all came from the artists, like just a cool group of
yeah,
people. Yeah.
that's so
Hmm.
cool. Well, we're reaching up on an hour. I don't want to take any more of your
Yeah.
time. I could
Yeah.
talk. I feel like if you ever want to come back on the show, you're so welcome to. If you want to talk again,
Absolutely.
even a month
Well,
after Christmas.
maybe we can loop back around either right before or right after
Yeah,
Christie's.
yeah,
Actually, cool talk about what happened at Christie's. We could do like what the sale was, what happened, what that
yeah.
means.
I
Yeah,
might be aging in the NFT world. I'm gonna be like old as hell for how that's just
yeah.
so
It's
long.
October 1st. It's so far away.
October. I know it seems now like yeah. Looking at dates now, it's just so different now because I'm just like shit. That's
Well, you go on like Crypto Slam. You go on Crypto Slam, which tracks market information for the cards. And you go to Curio Cards Crypto Slam page. You'll
okay.
see this huge spike that happened right when Christie's announced the sale.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it did like $18 million in trade volume that day. Like that's what the thing did, maybe more. I don't even remember now. And since then, it's gone down. Even though Christie's is still happening, just because like everyone's like, okay, now what? I have to like wait 4 weeks. So everyone's just sort of like waiting for Christie's now.
I have been noticing that. Yeah, I've been noticing those
Mm-hmm.
mountains. It's
Mm-hmm.
crazy. Well, Travis, I appreciate you coming on. I like to think of Curio cards. They're just like the phoenix from the ashes. They're just suddenly this
Yeah,
beautiful thing just came out, and like they're here to stay now. So it's just really cool and I'm glad that you and like the other guys on the team just you guys are finally getting what you like deserve. Like they're just finally getting recognition. It's cool to
yeah.
see you finally like seeing your like what you envisioned kind of. I'm sure like
Mm-hmm.
sure after like
Yeah.
4 years it was like damn what the hell is going on.
It's nice to see that it happened. It was happening without Curio projects like Foundation and Rarible and OpenSea. You could launch your own artwork on those.
Yes.
But it's really neat to get the recognition for Curio's contribution to that.
Yeah, you guys deserve it. You guys did OGs, so it's dope. It's really awesome. Anything you want to plug or any of that? Just
Yeah, go on the Twitter, join the Discord. We're gonna be doing tweets every day from here till Christie's about the cards. Tomorrow's Apple, um, and reply to it. Say why you like the card.
sweet. And then yeah, today is what? This September. All right, so I'm gonna post this tomorrow. I'll just post this tomorrow.
Oh yeah, then
We didn't.
today is Apple.
Yep. We didn't even like. Yeah, we didn't even. Unless I Max was my first like live interview. Or like
Oh, that was live. Yeah.
so I think I had really low energy because I was nervous as hell. So I try to be a little fair with you. So sorry, Max, that I didn't, be so energetic. But
I watched that interview. It was great.
all right.
But yeah, if this goes out tomorrow, then at my Curio Cards on Twitter, you'll see the top tweet will be about the Apple card or
Awesome.
about Philippe, because I'm also going to do a spotlight the artist.
Hell yeah. Well, Travis, thank you for coming on, man. And I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Talk to you soon. See you in the Discord.
All right. See you, man. Bye.
Bye.